The story of Alaska 2025 begins with a deeply personal narrative about a lifelong friend of over 58 years named Bud Wilson, who was once a larger-than-life role model, a brilliant math and business mind, and an outdoorsman guru, our best friend who is now facing a future with dementia. There's still some of him left, but it's gradually deteriorating. And I note this heartbreaking irony of Bud's losing his faculties at age 80. And this reminds everyone just how precious and fragile and how brief life truly is, and how grateful I am to still have who I am in my conscious awareness at age 83. This is the solstice in 2025, and Steve is organizing a Woodstock concert, the Woodstock of Alaska, on the top of Mount St. Elias in the St. Elias Wrangell National Park near Kennecott, Alaska. And we see footage of a massive 4-foot-high tire army truck that Steve got that is the only vehicle able to shuttle all of the spectators up this mountain trail to the top of the mountain, carrying people and equipment. And then we have the musical concert with Alaska's Woodstock playing well past midnight, because this is solstice, and we jammed all night long. When we got back to our beautiful lodge on Lake Clark, went the next day to the Nushagak River to fish for king salmon, and these are big, big salmon, and they were just coming up in droves up the Nushagak River, and we got enough salmon to last us for dinner for quite some time. The salmon coming in usually in millions in droves to the Bristol Bay area and to the Katmai River where the bears congregate, and up to Lake Clark is different this year. We have a miserable salmon run. Very few salmon coming up to Katmai, and therefore the bears are really having a difficult time struggling to get enough salmon to nourish themselves. But here's what's happening. The number of salmon that are allowed by commercial fishermen to escape 4 years earlier to spawn is kept good, so that the salmon run altogether from a commercial point of view is still fantastic this year. But they have no control over the individual spawning area where those salmon spawn. And they don't care. They just want to catch enough salmon. But 4 years ago, what obviously happened was the salmon that were destined to spawn up on Katmai and Lake Clark, these salmon didn't make it. They were all caught by commercial fishermen, because there is no way of specifying which salmon are being caught and which salmon are being allowed to go back up to spawn. So what we find is a miserable, miserable dearth of salmon in the Katmai area, and therefore the bears are starving this year. And 4 years from now, it'll be the same thing, because 4 years earlier, this mismatch of the amount of salmon allowed to come up. The underlying theme is the interconnectedness of all things, how grand vistas, human relationships, and encounters with wild animals are all fleeting yet vital expressions of a larger universal design with this massive interconnectedness of everything. want to narrate the metaphysics of fishing in an isolated wilderness. Catching a fish creates a profound emotional connection to the wild. The sudden, powerful jolt of a king salmon on the line, and a brief moment where the human universe and the underwater universe overlap via a single fishing line before the fish is safely released back into the dark river or actually pulled up and taken for food. There is no greater connection to the force of the wild than having a fish on an almost invisible line connecting your above water world with his underwater world. We don't know his underwater world. He has no idea about our above water world. But for that brief moment, we connect. As my camera looks over the changing landscape of Grayling and Kijik River, showing high water levels and narrow beaches under a gray, overcast solstice sky, I conclude with mixed reflections of environmental change and nature's resilience. I note that while global warming is noticeably altering the water levels and weather patterns, nature adapts in mysterious ways, as the river radically changing its course to protect the grayling fish population from thoughtless overfishing. I end with a reminder that permanence is an illusion, urging the viewer to treasure every morning that we wake up. When I sit on Lake Clark and stare at the waves coming in with the wind, it seems like this is water coming from the other end of the lake 6 miles away, but we know it isn't. It's the same water, but it's just a wave coming to us, and it looks like it's new water, but it is not new water. And that is what Einstein was able to understand when he came to the conclusion that the speed of light is always constant. It's a wave as well as a particle. And Einstein could summarize his relativity by just saying that mass displaces space to create gravity.